welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Leslie, and today we are working on Kendra's card challenge number 23, and we are going to be making cards 1 through 5. Now, of course, if you are new to Kendra's card challenge, we are on number 23, which is so many, and what it is that Cards by Kendra creates a 15 sketches using 6 sheets of 6x6 paper. She gives you all the cutting guides. She gives you all the different sketches with all the measurements on them. So if you don't want to do a full set, you can just do individual. And then if you do make a full set, you can upload it to our InLinkz party and to our Facebook group, and you can win some prizes. So this is the paper pad I am using. As you can see, I've already kind of destroyed it because I've already got my papers and already cut them down, but I'm using the Little Things Mean a Lot by Echo Park. It's very bug centered, so I pulled out my bug dies. Now these are the new ones from Pretty Pink Posh. I actually just bought these. I have some butterflies from Spellbinders and other things in my stash, and that's what we're going to be using for our cards this quarter. So starting off with sketch 1, of course I keep all my pattern paper and all my individual card needs in these Ziploc baggies. These baggies have been with me probably since I probably started with Kendra's Card Challenge 9. So you really don't need anything too expensive or fancy. Just grab some Ziploc bags, put some numbers on it, and you can have some organization here. Now, I did cut out squares out of all my layers here, just so I could use them for this sketch. And then, of course, I like to cut out squares or circles or anything out of my pattern paper that's going to be hidden anyway, because I am a paper hoarder, especially pattern paper, and so that's what I did here. So I am going to emboss this particular panel. We're just going to spray it down with a little bit of water so that those fibers open up a little bit for the embossing panel. I just wanted to add a little bit extra onto this sketch. There was just a lot of layer on layer for me, and so I wanted to add a little bit more interest with the dotted embossing folder here. I think I got this one from Queen and Company. It was just one of their bundle sets when I was first starting out, and I've had it ever since. So first off, so you're going to take your strips of your pattern paper. This is what you cut out of paper A, and you're going to start with that middle one because it goes edge to edge on your square. So I am going to be using a mix of liquid glue and tape runner adhesive. I'm using liquid glue with this particular part just because I really want it to seep in between those dots, especially since we have some raised there. We just want to make sure that it has a good adherence. So I got that middle one edge to edge, and then I'm just kind of eyeballing the other two just to kind of make sure that there's enough space in between. And then we're going to cut off the excess that is around the square. And I'm just using my little Fiskars scissors here. I love these things. They are so much nicer on my hand than normal scissors. And I just feel like I can cut more intricate fussy cutting as well, so I absolutely love that. So just cleaning up my desk there, and then we're going to get our front square attached to its mat. Now again, I'm going to use liquid glue just because we have that embossing or debossing on that side, and we really want to make sure that this stays well. I make cards for Cubs and for Royal Family Kids Camp, among other cards that I donate, and I really want to make sure that these actually make it to the kids and that they stay together for a long time. So I am using my dot tape runner adhesive. This is actually new to me. I am on the tape runner design team for this season, and I'm very much excited to be a part of it. I love this dot adhesive. It works so well for really intricate dies because you can run over those intricate dies and it's only going to stick to where that paper is. So that's really nice. And then makes it a little bit easier than necessarily using glue here and there. And then it can also, of course, do big die cuts like this, because it is the same permanent tape as all its other rollers. It's just in dot form, and I just love dot form. I feel like it gives me a little bit more wiggle room. Although it is permanent, it's not removable, but I feel like it gives me that extra couple seconds to make sure that I have everything lined up well. So I really like dot adhesive, and so I'm really happy with this product. So I'm just putting on my layers here. I'm going to put some foam tape on that top square just because I don't want to have to put in more more cardstock where that square is that we cut out, and I would need to do that if I was just using some tape adhesive or the glue, because then it would fold and bend in. So I'm sticking that up with some of that foam, and then we're going to go ahead and put some anti-static powder on my sticker here, because I'm also going to bump that up with foam tape, and I don't want it randomly sticking to things. These are stickers that are part of that Echo Park collection. It's actually just a 12 by 12 sticker sheet that I bought along with that is the same collection. So you're going to be seeing a few of those items throughout these cards because I'm using them as some of my focal points, and then I'm also using them as some of my sentiments, all kinds of fun stuff going on here. I do actually end up using quite a bit. I was finishing up this project just the other day. As you can see here, the 12 by 12 here, some of them are already cut out because I have them already in their baggies. And I actually did use quite a bit of them for this set of cards. So you're going to see lots of inspiration on how you can use them. So I did just go, I went with just winging it, and then I felt like it just needed a little bit extra. So I put in spread your wings and fly. I feel like that really goes well with the butterflies. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of these little stars that are on here as kind of my normal bling here. We're just going to add one to the right, and then I'm going to go ahead and add one to the left of that little sentiment, just so your eye is drawn down to it. Now, I did feel like my butterfly was just getting a little bit lost on the card here, so I'm going to bring in that same anti-static powder and use some foam tape just to give it a little bit more life and dimension here. We're just bringing in a little bit of foam tape here. I feel like this is like 1.5, and this is just so it adds a little bit more interest and gives makes it so that it's not disappearing into my backdrop here. I'm going to go ahead and get the third little piece of foam tape on that, and then get the release paper off of that butterfly and attach it right back on. That just gives a little bit more depth to this card. So this sketch one is completely done here, and I really like how it came out. Lots of dimension, but like I said, most of my cards get donated and then they get handed out personally, so we don't have to worry about any extra postage. All right, for sketch 2, I am just going to show you the final card. I did make this card during the launch, and so I'm going to link that video down below if you want to watch how I created this. I made it very butterfly themed, and I really like how it came out. Used a sticker from that sticker sheet, and then I just keep my finished cards in the bags until I'm ready to photograph them all together. So sketch number 3 has a lot of little parts. I did use some tape here. It's a post-it tape from scrapbook.com to keep all my little strips together so that I can make sure that they stay how I want them to. And then let's go ahead and get a card base put together. I usually cut out a bunch of paper when I get a stack of 8 by 11 or that 8.5 by 11 paper. I cut it all in half right away, and then I just grab and create those folds at that 4 1/4 And so all of these cards, of course, are A2 cards. They are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But you can always use these sketches to create 5 by 7s, to create slim lines, A6s. It's completely up to you. They just have to make sure that we can see from the card which sketch you were inspired by. Kendra always says these are starting off points, so we really want you to be able to make them your own. We just have to be able to tell that you made them from that. So I'm just going to put some glue on all of these just real quickly here so that they stick really well. I'm going to line them up how I have them. It just is really easy to line up once you know which paper is which, because you are going to use all of your paper strips, A through F, and then you just use A twice. So it's just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up is the roll there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the final strip on top across from them. Kind of looks like you're putting a little, like you're tying it up. This would be a really great place to put some string or some fun bow kind of thing. I'm using another one of my stickers here. It says it's a good day. And then I'm bringing in some really random jewels here. I got this in a Christmas card kit from Simon Says Stamp like a few years ago, and I have yet to use any of them, but these green are like the perfect color for this olive green that I have going on here. So I just had to bring them out, and I love how well they matched with this particular card and with a couple others later on. So this is sketch 3, and I really like how all the bugs and pattern papers get their own little showcasing there. All right, for sketch 4, we're moving on. We're going to have a lot of butterflies. So these butterflies are the ones that I showed you at the beginning of this video. They're from Spellbinders. I don't believe they have them anymore. The You Are Amazing is from my bold inspiration sentiments from Stamps of Life. I use this stamp set so often. As you can tell on these stamps are very, very stained. I use them probably in every set of cards I make. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 that has those sentiments in it. They're just absolutely perfect for what I use and what I donate. So I am going to go ahead and emboss this panel. I'm using another embossing folder from Spellbinders. I love this diamond dots. They're just beautiful. And then we're going to go ahead and get this card put together. So my matte color is going to be that blue. I am using just my white card base as the outside matte. So we have the white card base is that 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. The blue matte is the 5 1/4 by 4 layer, and then my embossed layer is that 5 by 3 3/4. Now you don't have to emboss this layer. It does say it on the sketch, but again, you make it your own. It just adds a little bit extra to the card. And I have been trying to really use my stash. So whenever it calls for an embossing layer, I'm going to try to use an embossing layer because I like to use my folders and actually use my stash. And I always forget about my embossing folders. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my pattern paper onto their mats. Now, they don't have to have a clear layer around. I am putting mine all the way to the far edges. I'm not sure if it was my user error with cutting or if this is actually how it's supposed to be, but it worked out for how I want mine to look. So you could probably have a thinner border all the way around, but since I'm using the same colored mat as my other layer mat, it works out perfectly that it has a thicker layer there. So we're just going to get that lined up here, and I'm using liquid glue because again, I'm using it on embossing, and I wanted some extra time because I knew I was going to have to kind of wiggle these strips a little bit more to make sure that they actually line up where they're supposed to go. I will say I feel like my card got a little busy on this one, but that's because I made my butterflies too big, but that's okay. As you can see, you are amazing. I did have to stamp this one twice because the first time I over inked my stamp, and so when I smushed it down, it got all over the place. So it's okay. You just flip your paper over and use the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and get some foam tape on to that sentiment, and then I'm going to get all of that presses down really well. Now I'm adding in those same gems from the card before because like I said, those greens are just the perfect color for this cardstock that I am using. It matches perfectly with those green butterflies and the green sentiment here. It just matched all really well. Now this is where you could finish the card. This is exactly what the sketch calls for, but I really wanted to use those butterflies that I made, even though I made them a little bit too big. But you could stop here if you're remaking this card. You don't have to continue on. I'm going to continue on. So I'm bringing in my butterflies here, and we're just going to put a little bit of foam tape down the middle of those butterflies, just so they have, you know, a little bit of room to kind of flap their wings there. I want them to have that little bit of extra fun and whimsy. So I'm only putting foam tape on the very bottom here just because it is going over quite a few layers. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top one. As you can see, I'm trying to kind of figure out exactly how I want to place these butterflies, and it's okay that they're a little bit big. Again, these cards just get handed out, so we don't have to worry about postage or making sure they fit in an envelope. So I'm just going to remove that release paper from that little butterfly, and I'll get it set up in that top corner. Now, of course, I struggled getting the release paper off this one. My nails are like shorter, but they tend to work with release paper, but that one just was not letting go. So that is my fourth card, and I really like how it turned out. I think the butterflies just add a little bit more whimsy to it, and I'm all about the whimsy. So sketch 5 here is a very fun one. As you can see, I have a couple dies in that Ziploc bag with the rest of my card supplies because I actually ink blended this particular piece because I wanted it to match perfectly with my sentiment and with the other butterflies. So the hello is coming from the Simon Says stamp, Be Your Beautiful Self. This came in a card kit one of the months, and I absolutely loved it. And then I'm going to cut the butterfly from that light blue paper and from the ink blended paper. If you want to see some more behind the scenes of how I prep these cards, or just in general, I am doing some productivity live streams with a friend of mine every Wednesday night around 8:15. At least we're trying to do it every Wednesday night. But you get a little bit more of the behind the scenes of how I prep for these cards, or you might get, like one of the times I was making some alcohol ink backgrounds, or like right now, currently I'm working on sheet loads of cards, and you just kind of get a longer, more in-depth behind the scenes. Plus we chat and she colors or she swatches. And so it's a fun little time. So definitely check it out. And you can check out those replays if you want to see a little bit more of how I prep these cards. So I'm just showing you, I flipped over all my patterns for this. So I'm using the back sides. I always suggest using two-sided paper with your 6x6 papers that you're choosing for these cards, just so you have the options to be able to use the backs and get some more variety in your cards. I wanted again to make this one another just butterflies, and I love the backs of all of these pattern papers because they look super busy on the one side with all the bugs, but on the other side they're more tone on tone. That blue is actually little bugs on them so that's kind of cool, but still tone on tone. And then the green kind of has like a grass feel to it. The yellow is just hash marks, and then the red is that grid. And I just love that they have tone on tone on the back of all of these different busier pattern papers. So getting all those lined up, I did start on the one side and then just butted up each strip against it. Of course, I always kind of line it up and then take each one off as I go, just to make sure that I'm keeping an even border all the way around. As you can see, lined up good enough. And then we're going to have the butterflies be the star of the show here, so I'm going to use the butterfly side, although that beautiful polka dot side would be really pretty too to use here. Now I did cut mine a little off. It's always user error for me. I feel like my trimmer isn't quite how it's supposed to be, and so sometimes my stuff just ends up a little bit off, but that's okay. And then I'm just getting in all the little circles here and making sure they line up with their respective colors. I did have a little bit of that postage tape on that red one there. I just had to peel it off. I'm making sure that my dye is staying on my paper when I run it through the dye machine, and sometimes I forget to get that paper off of all the pieces. So I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue for those circles and pressing each one down in turn, making sure that they are also against each other. There is no spaces in between those ends, so those corners there. So just finishing up with that blue strip.